Welcome to this episode of Litodio, where we bring you books in minutes, insights for life. Today, we're discussing one of the most influential books on leadership, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. If you're someone who's looking to grow in leadership, whether in your personal life, at work, or in your community, this book has timeless principles that can transform the way you lead and inspire others. In today's fast-paced world, leadership isn't just about being in charge. It's about influence, connection, and making a meaningful impact. Maxwell's laws show us that leadership is a skill anyone can develop, and it's more relevant than ever. Whether you're managing a team, building a business, or simply trying to lead by example in your everyday life, this book offers actionable insights that will help you take your leadership to the next level. In this episode, we'll start with an introduction to the book, exploring its core message and why it's a must-read for anyone looking to lead effectively. We'll then take you through each chapter, highlighting the main lessons and stories Maxwell shares to bring these laws to life. To wrap things up, we'll review the key takeaways, simple, powerful principles that you can apply right away. So, get comfortable and let's dive in. This episode is packed with insights that could change the way you approach leadership and help you lead with confidence and purpose. Let's get started. Introduction to the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. In the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, John C. Maxwell presents a powerful guide to becoming a more effective leader by emphasizing timeless principles that have shaped successful leaders throughout history. Written by one of the most influential voices in leadership development, this book distills leadership into 21 essential laws that, if followed, promise to transform anyone into a strong, inspiring leader. Maxwell's purpose is to challenge readers to recognize that leadership is not about titles or positions, but about influence and the ability to positively impact others. The book covers key themes such as integrity, vision, and empowerment, emphasizing that leadership is a journey of constant growth and self-awareness. Maxwell draws on real-world examples, including his experiences and the success stories of famous leaders, to illustrate how these laws apply in everyday life and leadership situations. Written as a comprehensive roadmap for aspiring leaders, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership serves as both a practical manual and an inspirational call to action, showing that leadership is a skill that anyone can develop. Its impact has been profound, influencing leaders across industries worldwide, from business executives to political figures, and it continues to be a cornerstone text for anyone seeking to refine their leadership abilities. 1. The Law of the Lid. Leadership ability determines a person's level of effectiveness. So, here's the first law: your leadership ability is the lid on your potential. Basically, how well you lead is the limit to how effective you can be. Maxwell uses the example of McDonald's founder Ray Kroc to illustrate this. Kroc's ability to lead allowed McDonald's to grow into a global empire. But Maxwell points out that when Kroc took over, his leadership was the lid that determined how far the company could go. If your leadership ability is strong, the sky's the limit, but if it's weak, you'll only achieve a fraction of what you're capable of. The lesson? Always focus on growing your leadership skills to break through your potential. 2. The Law of Influence. The true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Here's where Maxwell really hits home. Leadership isn't about authority or titles, it's about influence. The best leaders influence others to follow them because they believe in their vision, not because they have power over them. Maxwell shares the story of Abraham Lincoln, whose leadership wasn't defined by his position as president, but by how he influenced others during a very turbulent time. The key takeaway here is that leadership starts with influence, and if you can't influence others, you can't truly lead them. 3. The Law of Process. Leadership develops daily, not in a day. Leadership is like a journey, not a destination. Maxwell talks about how leadership is developed over time, piece by piece, day by day. He uses the example of a plant that grows gradually, with patience and consistent care. You can't rush leadership. It's a process that takes time, experience, and intentional development. The lesson here is, don't expect to become a great leader overnight. Invest in yourself and grow every single day. 4. The law of navigation. Anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. This one is all about planning. A leader's job is to look ahead, assess risks, and make sure everyone knows the direction they're going in. Maxwell brings up the example of Christopher Columbus, who had a clear vision of where he wanted to go, even when others doubted him. Effective leaders think ahead and are able to navigate challenges while keeping their team focused on the ultimate goal. The key point? Leadership isn't just about steering the ship, it's about knowing where you're going and making sure everyone else is on board with your plan. 5. The law of addition. Leaders add value by serving others. The best leaders serve others. Maxwell argues that true leadership is about adding value to people's lives, not just taking advantage of them for personal gain. He highlights the example of Mother Teresa, whose life's work was focused entirely on serving others. A leader's role is to lift others up, inspire them, and help them grow. It's not about taking from your followers, it's about giving and making a difference in their lives. 6. The law of solid ground. Trust is the foundation of leadership. Trust is everything. Maxwell emphasizes that a leader's integrity and character are crucial to building trust with followers. He uses the example of former President Bill Clinton, who lost the trust of the American people due to a scandal. Once trust is broken, it's incredibly hard to rebuild. So, the key lesson here is that if you don't have trust, you don't have anything as a leader. Always prioritize honesty and integrity in all your dealings. 7. The law of respect. People naturally follow leaders stronger than themselves. Respect is earned, not given. Maxwell talks about how people tend to follow leaders who are stronger, more competent, and more capable than they are. He mentions leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. who gained respect not through force, but by their unwavering commitment to their vision. People naturally follow those they respect. So, if you want others to follow you, work on being someone who inspires respect through your actions, abilities, and values. 8. The law of intuition. Leaders evaluate everything with a leadership bias. Great leaders have strong intuition about situations and people. Maxwell shares how leaders naturally assess problems with a leadership perspective, making decisions quickly and confidently. He mentions Steve Jobs, who had an innate sense of what was needed to build Apple into the powerhouse it is today. Leaders develop this intuitive sense over time by gaining experience and learning from past mistakes. It's a skill you can hone, and once you develop it, it becomes a powerful tool for making decisions. 9. The law of magnetism. Who you are is who you attract. This law is all about attraction. Maxwell says that you attract people who are similar to you. Your values, behaviors, and character shape the kind of people you draw into your circle. He gives the example of how great leaders tend to attract other great leaders. So, if you want to build a strong, effective team, you need to be the type of leader who attracts high-quality people. The lesson here is simple: lead by example, and the right people will follow you. 10. The law of connection. Leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. This chapter focuses on the importance of building relationships. Maxwell explains that people are more likely to follow a leader they feel emotionally connected to. He shares stories of leaders who have built strong bonds with their followers, like Nelson Mandela, who connected deeply with people from all walks of life. Before you ask your team to do anything, take the time to connect with them on a personal level. It's about trust, empathy, and building meaningful relationships that motivate others to act. 11. The law of the inner circle. A leader's potential is determined by those closest to him. No leader can succeed alone. Maxwell talks about how every successful leader has a strong inner circle of trustworthy, capable people. He uses the example of Bill Gates, whose inner circle helped him turn Microsoft into a global tech leader. The lesson here? Surround yourself with talented, loyal people who can help you achieve your vision. Your success is often determined by the people you choose to work with. 12. The law of empowerment. Only secure leaders give power to others. This one's all about delegation. Maxwell explains that the best leaders empower others to grow and lead themselves. Secure leaders aren't threatened by the success of others. They lift people up by giving them responsibility and authority. He uses the example of leaders who trust their team members and allow them to flourish, which ultimately helps the organization grow. The main idea? Empower others, and they'll help you achieve more than you ever could on your own. 13. The law of the picture. People do what people see. As a leader, you're a role model. Maxwell explains that your actions speak louder than words. People tend to follow what they see rather than what they hear. He points out that leaders who set a positive example, like how a coach motivates their team, will inspire their team to do the same. The lesson here is clear: lead by example and demonstrate the behaviors you expect from others. 14. The law of buy-in. People buy into the leader, then the vision. Maxwell talks about how people need to believe in the leader before they can buy into their vision. He shares the example of how Steve Jobs' charisma and leadership style inspired employees to rally behind Apple's vision, even during tough times. The takeaway is that as a leader, you must first build trust and credibility. Once people believe in you, they'll also believe in your vision. 15. The law of victory. Leaders find a way for the team to win. A true leader is one who always finds a way to succeed, no matter the challenges. Maxwell shares the example of legendary football coach Vince Lombardi, whose teams always found a way to win, even against the odds. He explains that great leaders keep their eyes on the goal and motivate their teams to achieve it, even in tough circumstances. The lesson here is, as a leader, never give up. Find a way for your team to succeed. 16. The law of the big MO. Momentum is a leader's best friend. Momentum is a powerful thing. Maxwell compares it to a rolling snowball that picks up speed as it goes. He talks about how successful leaders know how to create momentum, using examples from the business world, like how a company builds momentum after a big win. The key takeaway? If you can create momentum, you'll make things easier for yourself and your team. Keep pushing forward, and success will follow. 17. The law of priorities. Leaders understand that activity is not necessarily accomplishment. This chapter is about focus. Maxwell emphasizes that effective leaders know how to prioritize the right activities that will lead to results, rather than just staying busy. He mentions how leaders like Bill Gates were known for their ability to focus on what really mattered. The lesson is clear: don't waste time on things that don't move you closer to your goals. Focus on what truly matters and make that your priority. 18. The law of sacrifice. A leader must give up to go up. Leadership requires sacrifice. Maxwell explains that leaders often have to give up personal comforts, time, or even their own desires to achieve something greater. He uses the example of leaders who made personal sacrifices for the greater good, like Martin Luther King Jr. The key takeaway is that leadership isn't always about gaining. It's about giving and putting the team or cause first. 19. The law of timing. When to lead is as important as what to do and where to go. Timing is everything. Maxwell explains that great leaders know when to act. He shares the example of Winston Churchill, who rose to leadership at the right moment during World War II. The lesson here is that leadership is also about recognizing the right timing to make decisions or take action. 20. The law of explosive growth. To add growth, lead followers. To multiply, lead leaders. This chapter is about scaling leadership. Maxwell argues that true growth happens when leaders develop other leaders. He gives the example of how successful organizations focus on multiplying leadership rather than just adding followers. The lesson? Focus on leading leaders, and your influence will multiply exponentially. 21. The law of legacy. A leader's lasting value is measured by succession. Finally, leadership isn't just about what you achieve in your lifetime, it's about what you leave behind. Maxwell shares the importance of developing leaders who will carry on your work and vision. He uses the example of leaders who built lasting legacies, like John Wooden. The main lesson is, as a leader, think beyond yourself. Build a legacy that will last for generations to come. Here's a summary of the main takeaways from the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. 1. Leadership is about influence, not authority. If you want to lead, you need to focus on influence, not titles. It's not about the position you hold, but the impact you have on others. Think about how people follow someone like Elon Musk. His influence and vision attract followers, not just his role as CEO. Practical takeaway: work on building trust and forming strong relationships with your team. 2. Great leadership takes time. Leadership isn't something you get good at overnight. It's a daily, ongoing process. Remember when you first learned to drive? At first, you were cautious, but over time you became more confident and skilled. That's leadership. It's about continuous growth. Practical takeaway: invest time every day in learning and self-improvement. Be patient with your journey. 3. Surround yourself with the right people. No one can lead alone. It's the people around you that help elevate your leadership. Think about sports teams. Great coaches surround themselves with talented assistants who make them better. Practical takeaway: build a strong inner circle of capable, supportive people who challenge and inspire you. 4. Leadership is about service. Real leaders add value by serving others, not by taking from them. Look at someone like Mother Teresa. She was known for her selflessness and ability to lead by helping others. Practical takeaway: look for ways to serve those you lead, whether it's offering guidance, support, or just being a good listener. 5. Integrity is the foundation. Trust is everything in leadership. Without it, you can't lead effectively. Think about someone you admire, whether it's a mentor, teacher, or boss. Chances are, their integrity is why you trust and follow them. Practical takeaway: always be honest, even when it's tough. Trust is the foundation of great leadership. 6. Lead by example. People follow what they see, not just what they hear. Think of a coach who gets on the field and practices alongside the players. They're showing the team the effort needed. Practical takeaway: lead by example. Your actions set the tone for your team. If you expect hard work, show them that you're willing to work hard too. 7. Leadership is about timing. Sometimes, knowing when to act is just as important as what to do. Take Winston Churchill, for example. His leadership during World War II was about knowing when to step up and lead. Practical takeaway: pay attention to timing. Great leaders know when to take action and when to wait. 8. People follow strong leaders. If you want others to follow you, you need to be someone they respect. Think about how athletes follow a coach who has earned their respect through knowledge and results. Practical takeaway: build respect by demonstrating competence, fairness, and consistency. People are more likely to follow you when they believe you have their best interests at heart. 9. Empower others to lead. The best leaders don't just lead, they create new leaders. Think about how successful companies like Apple grew because Steve Jobs empowered others to bring new ideas to the table. Practical takeaway: focus on developing other leaders. When you help others grow, you're building a legacy of leadership that can outlast you. 10. A leader's legacy matters. Leadership is about more than what you accomplish. It's about what you leave behind. Think about how figures like Martin Luther King Jr. left an enduring impact through their leadership. Practical takeaway: always think about the long-term effects of your leadership. What kind of legacy do you want to leave for future leaders? 11. Momentum is a game changer. Once you build momentum, things start to roll more easily. Remember when you started a new project and the first step felt the hardest? But once you got moving, everything else seemed to fall into place. Practical takeaway: build momentum by taking small, consistent actions. Once you've got it going, momentum makes leadership easier and more effective. 12. Leadership is about sacrifice. If you want to lead, sometimes you have to give up something to gain something greater. Think of a manager who stays late to help their team meet a deadline, even though they could leave early. Practical takeaway: don't be afraid to make sacrifices for the greater good of your team or organization. Leadership is often about putting others first. 13. Prioritize what matters. You can't do everything, so focus on what matters most. Leadership isn't about being busy, it's about being productive. For instance, a great leader like Jeff Bezos focused on a few core principles at Amazon that helped the company grow, instead of spreading himself too thin. Practical takeaway: identify your priorities and stick to them. Don't waste time on things that don't bring you closer to your goals. 14. Trust and loyalty are key. You need to earn the trust and loyalty of those you lead. Look at leaders like Oprah Winfrey. Her ability to build strong, loyal relationships is what made her so influential. Practical takeaway: invest in building trust through consistency and empathy. People will follow you if they believe in you and your values. 15. Leadership is about the people, not the position. Great leaders inspire and motivate people to do more than they thought possible. It's not about the title you hold, but how you inspire and motivate others. Look at how leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. inspired people without any official title of power. Practical takeaway: focus on inspiring others, not just managing them. True leadership comes from your ability to influence and uplift. Thanks for tuning in to Litodio. If you enjoyed this summary and want to keep expanding your reading list with quick, engaging insights, be sure to hit that follow button, subscribe, and share with friends who love books as much as you do. We'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode, so feel free to leave a comment. We'll link to the book in the description. Until next time, stay curious.